Thanks, hi everybody. So today I'm going to speak about GitOps and event-driven CI/CD as well. So really, I'll talk about the journey that we had from implementing GitOps and then how we wanted to extend it with events as well to give us more things like testing, integration testing, load testing, quality gates, and I'll talk sort of high level about the concepts, but we use tools like Argo, Keptn, and as the end, I'll show you how you can also use other tools like Flux, for example, as well. So a bit about me, from New Zealand, currently living in Australia at the moment. I'm a CDF ambassador as well, so involved quite a lot in the community. And I contribute to open source as well, but more I like to adopt open source and then just contribute when I need it. So if there's something that I want to change or more features that I need, then I just will make the contribution and move on. And also the head of platform engineering is a day job. So what is Ortelius? Ortelius is a project with the City Foundation. It does microservice dependency mapping and essentially cataloging of components. So the reason I was interested in this project is because normally I work for startup scale-up. So to truly implement a solution that scales with GitOps, they had some sort of people adopting Ortelius that had like 30 QA environments. So I wanted to see how you can handle the microservice sprawl over 30 environments and different dev production. So that was quite interesting to me. So it was also quite a good, easy community to join and start contributing. It wasn't really, it didn't have a lot of big companies in it as well that was sort of taking all the work. So it was quite good. And yeah, the problem statement I talked just about then. So really, how can you use GitOps at scale, and when you have lots of environments, and how can you track all of your different components and applications? So before we started the GitOps journey, we sort of had your traditional CI/CD. Some probably a lot of companies that actually have worse than that. So essentially, it was both CI and CD together, and then that would just be all in one script pretty much and go to the dev, the test, UAT prod. A lot of people only have two environments where they have development branch goes to staging and prod. So we wanted more, and that's why we wanted to adopt GitOps. And then that's where we brought in Argo CD. So we had the choice of choosing Argo CD and Flux, but because it's Argo had the UI and it was a little bit, it wasn't such a steep learning curve, we decided to go with Argo CD, and that was probably about a year and a half ago where, so the Argo has lots of applications in their family, so there's Argo CD, Argo events, notifications and rollouts, and back then Argo application sets weren't in Argo CD, so we had to use the custom resource definitions to make them work together. And then you can see here that we would have we started off using Helm, and then we found out quite a cool trick that you can use Customize and Helm together. So we used what's called Customize Helm, and then that would give us overlays of each environment as well. So you can see here that's just an example of an application set, and you can have an application set for each environment, and then when you need to update your images or your manifest files, you can just update them in the environment. So yeah, that worked quite well, and then we wanted to make that better, and then we wanted to have different deployment strategies like blue-green canary deployment. So we then started to introduce Argo Rollouts as well. So you can see here that we put in Argo Rollouts and Prometheus as well. So using Argo Rollouts, what that enabled us to do is to have canary deployments, and there's a concept called analysis run. So what an analysis run does is if you want to deploy 25% of your new app into the environment, analysis run will, after the 25% is next to, if you have the stable in Canary, then it will talk to Prometheus and say, hey, is this new app good? Does it have any 400 or 500 errors? And then if it's good, then it proceeds to the next step. So then it will start introducing 50% of that new version, and then 75, 100, for example. And it was quite fun playing with Argo Rollouts because they have this really cool application called Argo Rollouts Demo, and then you can actually test these concepts working. So you can see here that I had the blue app there, and then this is setting 25% weight to the new yellow tag. So just simple blue and yellow, and then you can see here that in the error that you can give it errors, and then you can see it rolling back as well. So that was quite a cool thing to do because I always work in DevOps, and sometimes when the developers complain that something's wrong, it's actually their fault. So this sort of safeguards them coming to us saying that there's something wrong with the infrastructure because you can see it's wrong with their app. So that was a really cool project that we enjoyed playing around with. The reason we chose Argo Rollouts is that was we want to go to service mesh instead of Argo Rollouts, but Argo Rollouts was again easier to learn to prove these concepts of what we wanted the end picture to look like. And that application's called Argo Rollouts as well, so that's you can find that on GitHub if you want. You can just Google it. So now that we did Argo Rollouts, one thing that we found pretty easy is that when your analysis run is working and you're talking to Prometheus, if you don't have load testing or real traffic going through, it's always going to say, yes, this app is fine. So we then realized, well, what happens if we're doing a deployment late at night, there's no traffic? Of course it's going to say it's fine because you don't have any testing or anything going. So we said, okay, well now we need to introduce load testing, and then do some integration testing for more progressive delivery. So this is what a rollout specification looks like. You can see here that we have replicas 5, and then you'd specify your strategy canary, and then you have analysis template. So that will that's how you specify the rollout. It's using a replica set, and then this is what your analysis template will look like as well. So you can see you can run any Prometheus query. We have here just a simple one saying if we get any 4 to 500 errors, then we're going to say this, and you don't get a success rate of 0.95, then it's going to fail and then roll back to the last app that we had, or the last version of the app. So very cool, but we wanted more as well. And you can do lots of more things with it, but yeah, so here you can see this is Argo Rollouts working with Argo CD, which I was a little bit confused about as well, because when you have GitOps, obviously what you have in your Git repo can sometimes, I was thinking that maybe that might just keep syncing back, but you can see here that when using rollouts it suspends. So when it's suspended, that's when it's waiting, doing the tests, and then you'll see it progress on as well. So you'll see the pods, this is version 1, and then you'll see the canary working and the analysis runs coming up here. So it was quite a cool visual to see Argo and all of your, visualizing what's actually the canary deployment, which is very cool. And yeah, so that was great, and then we had that working, and then this is where we wanted to go another step further and introduce Keptn. So another Argo app from the family is called Argo Notification. So that's just been into the Argo CD repo now as well. So it ships now with Argo CD. And what the Argo notifications will do is it will let you on sync. I'll show you soon here. So it will have something called triggers. So you can have a trigger on app created, app deleted, etc. So we also wanted to, so first of all, I'll say what is Keptn. So essentially, it's quite hard to understand what Keptn is when you first look at it. So it's an event orchestrator that has many different capabilities of it. So it's essentially you can bring your own tools to it and then connect your own tools in a decoupled way. So we really liked it for the quality gates, because then when we wanted progressive delivery through environments, you could then you could ping Prometheus and say, is this app okay, similar to the Argo Rollout, and then the quality gate would let you pass and go into the next environment. So you can also do things like remediation as well. So it will send an event, a problem event, like through Dynatrace, for example, and then that will trigger a sequence, which we'll talk about soon. So that was a big, you can use Argo notifications for Slack, Teams. They have the concepts of service, template, and trigger. So the trigger will come in from Argo CD, and then it will, whatever based on your template. So our template was just a cloud event, and then that would be sent to Keptn to continue orchestrating the business logic. So we use ones like out of sync is quite good, because you can, once Argo becomes out of sync, then we can get Keptn to go say, okay, go see if this is going to work. And this here is, yeah, that's essentially a specification of Argo notifications. So you can see here that the template, and really that's just a payload of a cloud event, and then within the cloud event is the data that we need for Keptn to go through its sequence. So really it's just a webhook, really. And when you get into Keptn, you'll see this as well. So the first stage will come, and then of Argo. So imagine you're doing a git commit. You've changed the image or something, and then automatically Argo will pick that change up, and then it will say, okay, we've got a change. Let's go to Keptn now to go orchestrate some things like testing, load testing, etc. Even you could do chaos engineering and some really cool stuff. So that's how it looks when it comes in, and then that will orchestrate through the steps. So in Keptn, there's a concept of a shipyard file. So it's quite hard to understand what it is the first time, but essentially a shipyard file is three things. So you can see here it has a stage, a sequence, and a task. So the good thing about this is that you can have services that subscribe to it. So similar to event-based architecture and your microservices in your apps, we're essentially bringing this into CI/CD, which is really cool. So I can send a cloud event and say, okay, go trigger this stage, and then it will go through my tasks, and my services will be subscribed to them, which we'll see soon as well. So a lot to take on straight away, but essentially it's a declarative way of saying I want to do things. So I'm not locked into things like, okay, I want to use JMeter for load testing, and if I want to use K6, I can just flip that out and subscribe to that event as well. So with Keptn, when you go through a task, you'll have 3 events. It will be essentially started, I'm doing things, and then I'm finished or I've failed. And you can see it here as well. So this is what it looks like. So essentially here you have, these are the events over here on the side, and it's saying that I want to subscribe to these events, and then these services. So when that event kicks in that you subscribe to, it will then go use the services. So there's many services in Keptn as well. So we have Sandbox, you can build your own. So at the bottom here, we're building the Ortelius one, and that's on this event here when the catalog is triggered. So that's where we're working on at the moment, where we're going to have to catalog the changes in the components of the microservice. So you can also use the webhook service as well, which is quite generic and easy to use. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense, but essentially, if we go back to the Shipyard file, you could subscribe to the sequence in the stage here, and then you can see here that these are all the events. So it's very powerful because obviously, especially big enterprises, when you get a new boss come over, he's like, okay, let's change this. Then a new one comes, okay, let's go back to this. So it allows you to take your DevOps tools in and out, which is quite handy. And for me, it's really powerful because you can if you have a CI tool or a CI/CD tool that you need to pay for the runners, etc., that can clock up lots of hours waiting for things synchronously, and this is just a really nice way to event-based change. And then the Keptn team came along and then said, hey, we want to work on this as well. So it wasn't just the Ortelius, so we sort of joined forces, and now we're working on this integration here. So it's in the sandbox, the Keptn Argo City integration. So here, if you want to try it out, we have a lot of config, and we're going to make it so we'll have Argo, application sets, etc. So we can make it really easy for you to spin this up and try it out yourself as well. So you don't have to go through it took me probably half a year on this project. So there's a lot of learning to be involved. So we're trying to make it easier for the next person that comes along as well, because it's quite a steep learning curve to learn, Argo, Keptn, GitOps. There's a lot of things. So, and that's the next iteration again of this. So we're continuously improving on this and just taking it step by step. So this is what Thomas came up with. So you can see here that we don't want to rely on Argo rollouts because some clients or folks don't want to necessarily use rollouts, so therefore we want to make it more, you can bring anything you want. So it could be just a deployment or whatever you have. And then now we're saying that, okay, so when it's out of sync, the Argo will notice the change, and then it will kick off the deployment. And this is going back to what I was saying before about how Keptn works. And then you have your deployment that says start, it says, yes, I'm doing it, and then it will come back and say I've finished. So you could, in that deployment tooling, you could actually put anything that you want. So the great thing about Keptn is you bring your own tools. You can use anything to deploy. There's pretty much every tool now has its own form of deployment as well. It doesn't mean it's better or worse, but you might just have a personal preference of using your own tooling. And then you'll see that you can also run tests as well. So whatever tools you want to run testing, you can use them, and you can use one or many. You can use as many as you want. You just, in the Shipyard file that we said, you just put that into the tasks in that sequence. So this is where it gets really cool, because you can start, you can do things like integration testing, and we want to start to do chaos engineering in there as well, and just have a really solid event-driven pipeline. And then the thing that sort of first attracted me to Keptn before I knew what it really did was the quality gates, but that's just a small part of it. So you'll see here that you have evaluate, and that will go run, in here it's Dynatrace, but that could be anything. Just because it's made by Dynatrace doesn't mean that you can't use Datadog or New Relic, for example. And that's, gets your SLIs, SLOs of what you deem is good for production or the next environment, and then it will automatically say, okay, the monitoring or observability tool has reported back that's deemed good, and then that will create a PR for your next environment to progress through. So not only are you doing progressive delivery through just your apps, but you can essentially do your whole cluster through the more integration testing as well. So that's what we're working on at the moment. It's pretty much there, but we're still doing a lot of testing and getting it right. And then essentially you can subscribe to any event that you want, and you can make this however generic that you want, and leverage other people's work from the marketplace as well, or the sandbox, should I say. So thank you. I hope that made sense. It's quite heavy to learn it's two quite big topics, but if you do want to join the community, we have Ortelius community and a Keptn one, so join our Slack and say hello. Everyone's friendly, and we're more than happy to help you adopt this if you want, or if you want to learn, if you want to contribute. It's a nice place to do that. So yeah, thank you. Do you have any questions? No, all good. All right, thank you everyone, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day, and I'll be around if you want to catch up later on.